Alright, in this tutorial we're going to take a look at another way of doing animation. This way is called the animation player. One of the things that I want to animate this time is my coin, and so I'm going to take a copy of my T03 collectibles and we're going to just rename that as T17 AnimationPlayer, and we'll open that up. There's two things that I want to animate here. One is animating the player. I'm going to do the exact same sprite sheet as I used for the previous tutorial. And the second thing I'm going to do is some coins. So I have my sprite sheet here that I used. You can recognize that same little character from last time. And so I'm just going to put the same thing into my file system. Right, and there it is. And then also I'm going to do the coins. So here is the coins. So this is 6 separate PNG files, and each one is one of the images in the animation, and it's just this kind of glimmer that the coin is going to get. So I'm going to import these. Actually, I'll just grab the whole folder just to keep things organized. And so here in my file system, we now see the coin folder with all the coins inside. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to our player scene. Let's animate the player first. In Sprite 2D, so we'll go to our Sprite 2D inspector. We're going to take our image with all those pictures, and we're going to drag it into the texture for Sprite 2D instead of the default Godot texture. So drag that in, replace that thing. And so now for the Sprite 2D of my player, I have, the whole sprite sheet, which I obviously don't want. I only want a certain part of that sprite sheet. Go to the animation in the inspector. So this is still in Sprite 2D. Animation in this inspector, and it will basically slice up your sprite into little sections. If you recall from last time, I have H frames is how many going, how many in a column. I have 13 in a column. And V frames, how many rows are there? I had 52 rows. And so now you see just one character. Let me just make this collision shape invisible so it's easy to see a character. Alright, so in the player scene, I want to add a new child, and this one is going to be type animation player. Animation player right here. And that gives us at the bottom this animation tab. So we're going to do our animation tab, and we're going to get a new animation. And so that's going to be called left. So now I have a left animation. We can do the same thing for right. Yeah, left and right. So I'm not going to do up and down because I believe this game is a platformer. And so I don't need up and down in this case. So let's work on left first. The frames per second down here. And so this is saying, okay, how many frames per second are you going to have? And if you recall in the animated sprite, when we did that in the last tutorial, I believe we had 8, was it? 8 frames per second. Okay, so how fast is the animation going to go can be adjusted down here. You can adjust it in either seconds or frames per second. I guess frames per second will be easiest for us to work with because that's what we used when we did the animated sprite. And if you recall, we had 8 frames per second. And so let's go with 8 there. The seconds will be useful in that other types of animation, say you want to do like a fade in or fade out, and you want, okay, how long is my fade in or fade out going to last for? That's where seconds would make more sense, right? In this case, we'll go frames per second. Now that we have the time set up, let's go back to our Sprite 2D. And right now we have this one selected, which is not correct because we want to do left, like walking left. And so I have to figure out which one is walking left. And we do that by either looking at the frame coords here or the frame number. So if I pull up my sprite sheet, which let's get a better look at it. Okay, so it's basically a giant grid, right? And so here is what we call x0, y0, because it's both at the top, x1, y1, oh no, sorry, x1, y0, x2, y0, x3, y0, x4, y0, x5, y0, and so on. And this would be like y, x0, y1, x0, y2. So that's one way that we could do it. Another way is, so that would be the frame coords. So x1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. x4 and y0. Let's see if that happens. If I give the x coord 4 and y0, and you see him with his hands stretched out like that. Another way that we could do it is, if I go back to that picture, another way that we could do it is by just counting up. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So even though there's nothing here, we've divided the grid into these things, and so it keeps counting. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 in each row. And then it goes back. Oh, no, sorry. It started at 0, so it'll go up to 12, and then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and so on. Let's just try giving it 19 and see if it is this one right here. And so in frame, I'll put 19, and you can see it changes to that. And the frame coord kind of changed automatically to match the frame. Okay, so all that being said, how am I going to figure out which one I want? Well, I'm just going to go back to that picture, and I'm going to say which one is walking left. Appears to be this row. Yeah, this row right here. And I'm going to start with this guy because if I recall from the last tutorial, the first one kind of wasn't useful, or it wasn't quite right. And so, okay, which row is this? So we start counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the y is 9 and the x is 1. So y is 9, x is 1. Oops. 1. Oh, something went wrong. Turns out I didn't have the V-frame set up properly. There wasn't 52 rows, there was actually 54, so everything got screwed up. It's fixed now. So yes, we're on y is 9 and x is 1. And you can see this is frame 118. If I go up the frames, you can see kind of that walking animation. Okay, so what I want to do is add track, which is what I want to animate. So I'm going to go property track, and I'm going to just go sprite 2D, double click on that, and frame coords right here. Let's just choose frame coords. Okay, now if somehow it got to number 3, I want number 1. Okay, now if I press the key with the plus, it will appear down here, and automatically you see that x was 1 and now is 2. So I can just press the plus again, and it adds the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until 8. So I should have 8 of them down here. And if I press play, you can see that it walks. Very good. Except that I do want it to keep walking. So over here is animation looping. Click that to turn the looping on. And we'll try that again. Walk, 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 walk. Except there's this blank space at the end because it's going all the way to here, which I don't want. So we need to fix that. And that's because in the little clock here, animation length in frames, I have 13. I don't think I put that there, so I'm not sure. That must be some kind of default. I actually want, how many animation frames do I have? I believe I have 8 frames. I clicked on this plus 8 times, so I'm just going to type 8 here. And let's try that again. Walk, walk, walk. Okay, that's a bit better. Still have a gap somehow. I wonder if it's because I have... It's hard to see what's going on, so I'm just going to zoom in here with the zoom tool down at the bottom. And when I look at it a bit more closely, it appears that I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images here. So I'm missing one. I'm not sure if I'm missing, well, I guess I can click on them and I can see x2, y9, x3, y9, x4, y9. So, and it goes up to x8, y9. I'm missing the x1, y9 somehow. So I could add it at the beginning, or I could just add it on to the end as well, probably. So let's try that. x1, y9. And I want to add that keyframe, and it added it just on top of that for some reason. So I want this guy to come over to here, and let's play that animation again, and this time he's smoothly walking. Excellent. Yep, looks pretty good to me. All right, so we'll do the same thing for right. And so we're going to add track, property track, sprite 2D, and we want the frame coords. All right, and then we'll go back to our sprite 2D, and this time y11 looks right, and so we'll go back to x was 1. Oh, I guess we better change our frames per second to 8 again. All right. So y is 11 and x is 1. Click the key. Yep, added that one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I should have 8 images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That looks pretty good. And we'll turn on looping. And let's play it and see what happens. And he is walking to the right very smoothly. Excellent. All right, so that's the animations done. And so we want to be able to play that. Let's go to our player code. Okay, so the way that we have it in the player code, there is no, there's no separate, they did it all in one. So if you recall, this is our pre-made template for the movement. We just used the one they had. We didn't make our own, and so they don't have separate if statement for left and right. So I believe we'll have to make that. But they do have this input get access UI left and UI right, which is the direction. And so we can actually use that because I believe UI left is going to be -1 and UI right is going to be 1. That's how these things are done kind of behind the scenes. So we'll just use that. And so we'll add another if statement here. If direction is less than 1, we get our animation player dot play left else. And we can just copy that. play right. I guess if we're doing properly, we would want like an idle as well. And so if the direction is equal to 1, then we play left, or less than 1, we play left. LF direction is more than is 1, then we play right. Else we do the idle. I didn't make an idle, so we'll just go with that for now and see what happens. Okay, so it goes left by default, but if I press right, it goes right, left, right. Okay, so that's working pretty good. Why is he floating in the mid-air? Okay, I think that's related to our player. And if we turn back on the collision shape and go into the 2D view, we see that my collision shape before was optimized to the size of the block. We need to change this to match the player. And so we'll change our collision shape like this. And just play that game again. So this time he's walking on the land. Perfect. Okay, let's do the coin now. So in the coin scene, we're doing the same thing. So we're going to add the animation player node. Animation player. All right, so we have an animation player child. In the animation panel, click on animation, new, and we need a new animation here. Let's call it gleam because that's what my coin is doing. We want to add a track. We want to go property, and we want the sprite property, and we want, double click on sprite 2D. And this time we don't want the frame coords because we're not going to change the frame coords because each sprite is actually a different file. So we want to actually change the texture, right? The texture is what is the image, the file, but we want the file to change all the time. All right, so we choose texture. Then we're going to go back to our Sprite 2D inspector. And then we're going to drag our first texture into here. So I'm going to get my coins. There's the first one. Put it in here. Super big. I think we'll have to scale that down a little bit. Well, let's just see how it looks on the thing. What are these? This is 2223 by 2233. That's super big. We'll deal with that after we get the animation going. We have this red tint because we modulated the original sprite. Let's just undo that so that it is all white. No modulation. Oh, I guess we could just press the reset here. Yeah. Okay, first texture is in. And then we're gonna, you see this little keyframe on the right. We're gonna click on that, and that's gonna add it to down there. And so there it is. And we want the next one to appear maybe there. Well, how many frames do we have? We have 6 frames, so let's go 6. Well, no, what I wanted to do is, well, okay, let's just go 6. And then, so next we need to know when is the next frame gonna appear. You can mouse it over. It doesn't seem to like snap to the frame things, so we can just manually type in. So this is going to be 0.0333, so we can just manually type that in. 0.0333 and go sprite 2D. We want to drag the next one in here and press the keyframe so that another dot appears here, and we want to just keep on doing that. play the animation. And you can see that little swipe. Let's just loop it. Okay, but I wanted to not do that all the time. I wanted to do it maybe once in a while. Also, it's going a little bit too fast. Change the speed down here. I'm going to change the total time of the animation to be more like 5 seconds. And so you see the kind of highlighted part of the timeline? That's how long the animation is going to be. But of course, I only have keyframes down here. So we'll play. Yeah. I'm going to change it to like maybe 8 seconds. I like that, except the last frame is pausing on this one where it's still a little bit highlighted. I'm going to add one more, and it's going to be this one. I'm going to add that one again. I think I can just copy that. No? Okay, I'll just add it again. That looks pretty good. We'll scale it down so that it's not so big. Something like that. And let's play the game and see if it works. Still too big, and also it's not doing it. So I'm just going to go down here, back to the animation player. And I think we need to turn on auto load, which is right here, auto play on load. So as soon as this scene loads up, the animation will start playing, which is what we want. We don't want that in the case of our player because we tell it to play in the code, but in this one, we don't need the code. We can just play it, all the time. And we want to make it smaller, I believe. So we'll go to Sprite 2D, and we'll go to 0.01. And let's try that. Okay. And you can see that they are, in fact, doing that. We'll make it bigger again, just for purposes of, so you can see that it's doing that. I don't know if it's super clear on the video scale. We'll go 0.05. So you can see it is actually doing the little bling thing. And so you can adjust, how you want to do that. All right, so that's it for AnimationPlayer. AnimationPlayer is actually very powerful. You can do all sorts of things. As I mentioned, I will have future tutorials on like if you want to do fade in and fade out of scenes, or if you want, say, have a title screen and you want the text to like move in or something, or you want, you have something anywhere where you want things to move, you want things to change without the player directly controlling, you can use this animation, because you can literally, any of the properties in the inspector, you can change dynamically using the animation player. Like you can change the scale, so you can make things go bigger and smaller. You can change the modulation, so you can make things, change color. So all sorts of things that you can do. Position, of course, you can change where they are. So yeah, all sorts of things that you can do with the animation player. All right, so that's all for this tutorial. See you in the next time.